Well, joining us now is Brooke Goldstein, the executive director of the Lawfare Project. You know, we have seen leaders frame the killing of Charlie Kirk as a political assassination. What does that say about the state of free speech and security for outspoken public figures in America right now? Figures like Charlie, who actually had open debates, respectful debates with many students on campuses across the country.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on this very sad day. It is also September the 11th, excuse me, and we are now mourning in America all of those who had their lives sacrificed and who stood for the basic freedoms that this country upholds and protects. And one of those basic freedoms is free speech. And I think, obviously, while we are mourning the victims of 9/11, Charlie Kirk was also the victim of an attack on this democracy. There's no doubt that they killed him because they could not win the debate against him. When free speech goes, when our political leaders are being attacked and assassination, and then when this is justified by radicalized, indoctrinated students across the country, only violence will follow in the future. I just put up a tweet calling for an immediate investigation, congressional investigation into the state of radicalization in our country, foreign funding coming into our campuses, our K-12 educational system. This has to be exposed. And I was very honored, actually, also to be on Charlie Kirk's show. And he was nothing but a truth teller. And what pains me the most are these scenes of these students, thousands of students sitting peacefully on the lawn of their university, engaging in open dialogue and debate. That is the crux of what makes America great, our First Amendment, and our ability to discuss and dialogue with each other to move forward. Because that is how you advance as a liberal democracy, not through violence and killing your political opponents, but through open debate and freedom of speech. And that is what was attacked yesterday and is absolutely devastating.
You know, obviously, we spoke a lot about Israel, and Charlie Kirk was a polarizing figure in the United States when it comes to right and left, but he was also a vocal defender of Israel. How significant was his voice for Israel and the Jewish community worldwide? And what kind of impact do you think it's going to have now that he's no longer with us?
Well, I know that me and all my colleagues are just more dedicated now to spreading the values that Charlie stood for, which is to continue open dialogue. We will not be intimidated from speaking. And unfortunately, there has been a well-orchestrated, coordinated intimidation campaign against free speech in the United States for almost 2 decades, both with targeted assassinations and with violence and threats of violence, but also, you know, the demonization of your political opponents, the Islamophobia campaign where you can't talk about radical Islam. So, you know, I also take a little issue with calling him a polarizing figure. He was a unifying figure. That's what Charlie Kirk was. And it is those who want to destroy this country and prevent the open dialogue and free speech. And you can see how the students reacted. They were unified on that campus, regardless of partisan politics. And what unified them was the notion that we can get together and open dialogue. That's who he was, a unifying figure, not a polarizing figure. So, you know, we cannot allow this assassination. First of all, we cannot ignore it and ignore the state of radicalization in this country, but we also cannot allow it to instill fear. If we are too afraid to speak publicly, if more people were doing what Charlie Kirk was doing, he wouldn't have been such a target.
Right. I mean, one of the things that we often heard Charlie Kirk say in many videos that he posted online was that what leads to violence is the lack of dialogue, the lack of the ability to have a conversation about an issue that one might not necessarily agree on with their friend, their opponent, whatever it may be. So he was certainly adamant in making sure that that dialogue is continued. And you are very right in saying that he was a unifying figure. We've seen a lot of people, not just conservatives, and I have to say that myself because I did say that there were conservatives who were mourning him, but also people from the left as well that I know who say that it was sad to see him go because he was, initiating conversations that a lot of people just aren't willing to have today. But Brooke, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, incredibly, incredibly important to talk about what this means for the future of the United States. We're going to have to wait and see as more information comes in as to who was actually behind this attack. Right now, there is a suspect in the hands of the FBI, from what we understand, but we don't know all of the details yet. Brooke, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.